The most important move in your golf swing is your pivot. And I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like to work through progressions to upgrade your pivot step by step so you can make consistently solid contact and hit the golf ball a lot farther than you currently do. I'm Coach Andrew Banner with Golf Solved, and I'm going to walk you through step by step what a pivot looks like to do it correctly versus incorrectly, so you have the ability to be able to self-diagnose on video. And then I'm also going to implement a few drills that you can actually take and use after this video to improve your pivot to become a better ball striker and to add distance to your game. So in the golf swing, the centered pivot is removing the arms, hands, and club from the golf swing and looking at how the body moves throughout the golf swing. And that is a very standard move or motion that you will see on tour. Vice versa, a high handicap golfer has all kinds of movements going on that you will not see a tour player do. So, what are those motions and movements, and how can we look at them on video to know if things are going correctly versus incorrectly? Well, first and foremost, knowing that it's a centered pivot, we're going to pay attention to see if the head stays relatively level and centered as we work to the top of the backswing, and then relatively level and centered until we get two straight arms, hands at chest height into the follow through. If we can keep the head level and centered through that motion, a lot of good things are going to happen. The other easy aspect to take a look at is the hips. When we're making a pivot to the top of the backswing, we should not see that hip get located over top of the trail ankle. If it does, we've had way too much lateral hip sway away from the target. We don't want that. We want to turn with the hip closer to the target than the trail ankle joint. If we do that, that is giving ourselves the ability to turn, load, and store power to then come back down to the golf ball on a shallow pathway. If we get to the top of the backswing and we have excessive lateral hip sway away, we don't get a lot of turn, our hands do not get enough depth, and if our hands do not get enough depth, what we typically see is a steeper angle of attack. Therefore, you get 90% of golfers that are over the top slicers. So if that's you, you're going to want to pay attention all the way to the end, because I'm going to show you how we're going to change your pivot to become a more draw bias golf swing. You'll still be able to hit fades, but you're not going to be steeping over the top anymore. When we're working through progressions, we've got our body drill locked in, we've got our exercise drill locked in, and now we're ready to start working on it with a golf club in our hands, improving our pivot with a club in our hands. Well, once we've done dry swings in slow motion, and again confirmed that we did the pivot correctly on video in front of a mirror, then I'm going to progress you to a ball on a tee. Why? It gives you room for air. It helps you have a positive experience with the new motion, because I'm a positive person and I truly believe that you need to keep positive mental impressions building. We're in a world where negativity is all around us, and on the golf course, if you leave frustrated, lost, and confused because you had a bad practice session, what's the likelihood that you're going to go back and work on that same thing the next time? It's very low. That's why most golfers struggle with what I call multi-swing thought syndrome, because they start jumping around, they never stick to a game plan, and that's the entire purpose of this video. It's to give you the power to know what a pivot looks like, what it should look like when you do it right, but then also give you a game plan step by step for you to be able to build up a golf swing. So take a tee, put it into the ground. It gives you an easier environment to be able to produce the pattern that we're trying to without hitting fat shots and thin shots. Now in time, we're going to definitely eliminate poor contact by upgrading your pivot. So first things first, we're focusing on some rehearsal swings where we load to the top of the backswing, keeping our head level and centered. We're turning our hips, so my trail hip feels like it's replacing where my belt buckle is located at the top of the backswing. That means there's no hip sway where that trail hip gets loaded over the trail ankle. We do not want that. When we do this correctly, we're going to be able to hit pretty consistently solid contact. So again, remember, the ball's on a tee, and I want you to be able to execute 10 of these in a row where you're pretty happy with the results. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, the way I rate myself, a 7 out of 10 or higher is a good shot. Solid contact, went directionally where I wanted it to, and it went approximately the distance I wanted it to. If I hit it fat, there's no way that's a 7 out of 10. So try to get to a point where you can hit 10 out of 10 at a 7 out of 10 or higher, and then you're ready to take the tee away. Let's see how I do. So again, I'm just gonna kind of rehearse the pivot. I wanna feel, for me, what I call a weightless trail foot at the end of this swing. I'm not trying to hit it far, I'm just trying to make solid contact here and work through this pivot. That's hit pretty well. I would give that a 7 out of 10. It's what I would call a straight draw. The ball started straight and then drew. In an ideal world, I'd want that ball to start a little bit left of the target line and draw back to it. But for the purpose of this drill, I made solid contact, I directionally hit a draw, and it went the distance that I wanted it to. So now that you have a clear understanding of what it looks like to have a centered pivot and to be able to actually look at it on video and assess, do you have a quality pivot? What I want you to know is in this video series, I'm going to work through drills for pivot, plane, impact, and power, but I'm also going to work through the series of next having a ball on a tee and working through that drill to see if I can uphold the form and technique that I showed you in the body drill today. As you begin to implement this drill on your own at home and you start to film yourself or do it in front of a mirror, feel free to ask questions in comments below. I want to interact with you. I want to help you play better golf. And for that matter, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to DM me directly on Instagram at Coach Andrew Banner. You can also visit my website, golfsolved.com. And if you want to do me a favor, because it goes a long way, please subscribe and like this video. I'm going to create ongoing series to help make this a fun process for you to get better, quiet the noise, get away from multi-swing thought syndrome, and actually have true progress that is achieved step by step for long-term results.